Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, and great millstone who were well. Peace and mercy to the Tazadak Akim out there that's laboring this truth with all sincerity. I want to say Shalom. All right, and today's topic is just going into how the New York DMV is changing the driver point system. All right. And what does this mean? They're making things a lot more strict, a lot more tighter, a lot more harder for the average resident. All right. Really the Israelites, which is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. And I just wanted to get a quick precept before I start the lesson. All right. It says, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 12, and I'm going to jump down to verse 14. It reads, "The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon them with his teeth." And who's the wicked? The wicked is Esau, the so-called white man. All right, he's plotting on how to oppress us more and more. All right, for us to be more lenient upon him. Why do I say that? Because when they make things, the rules more tighter, the laws more tighter, they want the people. All right, they're honestly squeezing the juice out of the people. You know, by making them more poor, having more restrictions. So now with that, it leads the people to rely on them more. Because ultimately he wants to, you know, put a microchip in you. All right. So he's constantly plotting. He's constantly, you know, plotting on how to destroy you, to destroy us. All right. Even his own people, if he has to. All right. You know, verse 13, it reads, "The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day coming." All right, the Lord is laughing at him, at Esau, because Esau ultimately thinks he is the Most High, and he thinks because since he's in rulership right now, you know, his pride is boasting him up, so he thinks he's never going to fall. He thinks he's above the Most High. All right, so he's gonna, you know, he's trying to fulfill his agenda. Esau thinks he's gonna be able to fulfill his agenda, all right, which is microchipping everybody, all right, which we know that the elected are not going to receive that chip, all right. So it says, verse 14, "The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy." All right, and that's the point. They're casting down upon us the poor and needy. You know, they're actually going to have they're going to use their real sword, all right, which is the modern day gun, all right, using their police force, military force, all right, but also by changing their laws, all right, to make things more hard, all right, and they're doing that to cast down on the poor and the needy, all right. Let me just finish it, and to slay such as be of upright conversation, as well as those who are teaching against the society, which is the prophets, all right, the saints, all right. So now I want to go back to the article. It says New York DMV is changing driverless points system in 2026. It reads, "No matter how much pride the people of the great state of New York take in our little corner of the country, the powers that be in Albany always seem to find a way to make things harder for the average, everyday Empire State resident. If it's not the ongoing efforts to ban the use of fossil fuels to propel our cars or keep us warm in the winter, it's the every increasing amount of taxes and fees we have to pay just to get by on a daily basis." Exactly. The people who are complaining, the people know they raising the rent, they're raising tolls. You know, they're putting tolls everywhere, congestion fees. You know, they're making things more tight, because ultimately there's not going to be no middle class. It's only going to be the rich and the poor. And then how are you going to make the poor more poor? By changing the laws. All right, let me get that real quick. Changing the laws for us to rely on him. All right. It reads, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 1. "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and thy right grievousness which they have prescribed." So woe unto them, which is Esau, who basically who is Salakia, what Esau, Salakia, is the one that's decreeing those unrighteous decrees, all right, those draconial laws, all right, those harsh laws, which he did when he was back in the Greek Empire, all right, and he's doing it to this day, okay, and I just named an example of them changing the New York DMV point system, which we're going to get into of exactly what he's changing and how he's making things more difficult, all right. So it says, verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. All right. So he's trying to take away the rights from the poor of the Lord's people, which is your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. And that was just a point on that. So going back to the article, it reads, now it says New York, it says get ready for New York to be stricter against its drivers. Starting February 2026, you can have your license suspended if you get 10 points within a 24-month period. As of now, it's 11 points in an 18-month period. If that's not enough, there are a lot more things changing. Speeding in all categories has increased. Speeding less than 10 miles per hour over the limit is now 4 points. It used to be 3. Cell phone use while driving is 6 points. It is used to be 5. Not yielding to pedestrians is now 5 points. It used to be 3. Driving recklessly is now 8 points. It used to be 5. Following too closely to another vehicle is now 5 points. It used to be 4. Alcohol-related crime now starts at 8 points. That's not all. Several violations didn't have a point penalty attached to them, but now they will have them. Equipment violation that used to get a fix-it ticket for now carries points. So broken tail lights or headlights are now 1 point. So they squeezing the juice out of people. What if a person doesn't generally have money to fix their tail light, their headlights? You know, you're gonna get a point just because you have something messed up on your car. Like this is what we was talking about, those unrighteous decrees. That's unrighteous. For what? What's the benefit? They're gonna say that it's to keep drivers, the roads more safe, but it's not. It's not. You know? It says illegally tinted windows are now 1 point each. So now if you have a tinted car, you could get points just for having tints on your vehicle, just for you to, want to have privacy. Just because, in New York, everything is congested. Why would you want somebody to keep looking in your vehicle? So now you just see how they're making these unrighteous and draconian laws to make, to oppress the people, to oppress us, the Israelites, because they want us to rely on them and to bow down to them ultimately. Okay? So this is the book of Ecclesiastes. This is the last precept. Verse 7. It reads, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So we're going to only focus on the part of oppression making of a wise man mad. Now, I actually went into the word oppress. All right? Because what's the definition of oppress? It says to oppress unduly upon. And that's exactly what the so-called white man is doing. That's what the New York state government is doing. They're pressing unduly upon us. It says against, overburden, weighed down, overwhelm, overpower, burden with cruel, unjust, unreasonable restraints. This is unreasonable. They're overwhelming. They're overpowering us. Because it's like, what can we do? What if you having just a bad couple months, you can't, fix your headlight on your car? What if because since since New York is raising the rent so high, what if you just put your last on paying your rent? Now, since it's a broken tail light on your car, what if somebody broke it and you couldn't fix it? Like, there's so many things that could happen. And now you can get a point for that? This is the unjust, the unreasonable restraints that oppression is I'm talking about. This is all under the category of being oppressed. And this is why the wise men, which is the prophets, the believers, this is why we're mad. This is why, it says, for much wisdom causes grief. Because now we understand that we're really truly being oppressed in all ways. And every side, we can't even drive our cars, in a peaceful manner. We have to worry about removing our tents now, making sure everything is tip-top shape. We live in New York City. Anything can happen. Somebody could break into your car. Somebody could break your headlights on purpose. Somebody could smash your car while your car is just parked. There's so many things that can happen. And then, we barely get by. And this is the reason why a new kingdom has to come, man. This is why we pray every day that, the elect are, the righteous are sighing and crying to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because this is oppression. We're being oppressed. This is modern day slavery. All right. And I just wanted to do that was on my spirit heavy today because I just found that out, about the new point system. And Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And with that, Shalom.